Today we're going to talk about how to do the showmanship. I am an amateur, not a professional, so take this advice with a grain of salt. However, this horse has been top 15 at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress, as well as tons of other top 10s in the showmanship, and is a fabulous showmanship horse. Okay, so I'll start with the very basics. Since she is a broke showmanship horse, I do not put the chain in the correct position until I am ready to go. So right now I just have it like this. That's because I can pet her, I can play with her, I can do whatever I want, I can touch her face. But once the chain is on, I don't mess with her face, I don't touch her. We are in show mode, which I think is a really good way to teach the horses the difference between whether we can just hang out and be friends, or it's time to go, you're my partner, and it's show mode. So I'm gonna take the chain, I'm gonna put it through here, the left side of my horse, and then it's gonna go underneath the chin. And then we're gonna go through this side and then all the way up to clip onto there. Okay, so I have the snap facing away from the horse's face, which is super important. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on this, so that it doesn't rub, also so that if you need to take it off, it's easier, but this is how you're supposed to have the chain on. So now that she has the chain on, I'm not gonna pet her, I'm not gonna touch her. She knows she's in go mode, which honestly is why she's standing like this, because she's waiting for me to come around. So typically with the length of chain, this is probably more chain than I would like. If that is the case, you can actually make it a little bit shorter. Every horse is different, so you have to play around with it. Some horses are really good on a loose chain like this. I like it a little bit tighter, preferably. So in that case, what I would do is I would actually come and I would take the chain, I would pull it through and up and around, and then onto that side like so, which then if you go on this side, you'll see that's too tight. So this is gonna be kind of a difficult chain to deal with because I either have to have it too tight or too loose. I'm gonna prefer to have it too loose. If you're showing, obviously you would get a chain that fits correctly. This is not her show halter, so that's why it doesn't fit, but I'm gonna go with too loose for today. Holding your showmanship shank, you're gonna have a loop in your left hand, and then your right hand is gonna go up towards the top piece of the leather. You don't want it on the chain, obviously, but it's, again, gonna depend on how broke your horse is and also just what type of horse you have, where you are on the leather. The idea of the showmanship is your horse is doing everything with you. So when I walk off, she walks off. When I stop, she stops. I'll show you what I would do to get her to walk off. I'm gonna put my hand forward. You don't wanna lean forward. You want to be standing straight up, and I'm gonna cluck and I'm gonna walk with my feet. And see how she walks at the exact same time as me. In the most ideal world possible, you would wanna match your horse's strides, which is hard for a short person like me because I have to lengthen my stride to match. But you can see that her legs and my legs are simultaneous. So that is the goal in the showmanship. It creates a really fluid, beautiful pattern. When I stop, whoa, she stops. So I want all four of her feet to stop at the same time. She stops with me, she's listening to me. I'm not going back like this. I'm not going forward like this. She should listen to my body movement. So even if I don't say anything, you can see she literally just walked off with me because she is in tune with how I'm moving. The same thing is gonna happen at the trot. So for her, I do one cluck for the trot and I put my hand forward a little bit. So my right hand is gonna go forward and she's gonna trot off. When I want her to stop, I am going to say whoa, and she's gonna stop. She's obviously exceptionally trained, and not all horses are gonna do this, but this is a perfect example of what you would want it to look like. Whoa. So those are kind of some of the maneuvers. Obviously you can have an extended trot, you can have a walk. I'm gonna show some of the other maneuvers in the showmanship, which is a setup, which is one of the main maneuvers in the showmanship, as well as a pivot. We'll show you what a setup is. What are you doing? That's really funny. I haven't seen her do that. Okay, so if you look at my horse's legs, how she learned the setup was she is going to always leave her right hind foot planted. She's not gonna move it unless there's like a dire circumstance where she really needs to move it. That allows me to then cue her to move her back hind left foot to be square. So a setup is basically squaring your horse up. You want all 4 feet to be in line with one another. So I'm gonna show you how I square her up. I'm gonna push back. Whoa. Whoa, good girl. So basically, that's not like the ultimate perfect setup, but I would be super happy with that at a show. Her hind feet are next to each other, her front feet are next to each other. It didn't take that many movements. In the most ideal world possible, you would have one move in the back, one move in the front. That's not always gonna happen. But what you don't want is dancing. You don't want them moving 5 or 6, 7 times. So I was super happy with that. I literally have not done showmanship with this horse in probably a year. So the fact that she just did that, I mean, obviously she's broke, but I'm elated with that. If it's a green horse, sometimes they'll get nervous. So if you push them and they're dancing and dancing, you want to make sure to reward them for taking a step that is right, even if it's not perfect. For a broke horse, obviously you want it to be as perfect as possible. This is what you will do typically when you get in front of a judge. So then once my horse is squared, what you'll do is the judge will be walking around in a circle, and there's quadrants of your horse. So there's a line in between the middle of your horse. If she'll, basically, you're imagining that there's a line here. Whoa, good girl. Whoa. And you don't want your horse to move when they're square, so that's why I'm telling her to whoa. Whoa. So those are the quadrants. And essentially, let's say the judge is in the back left walking around. It's called the inspection. Let's say they're behind that line. I'm gonna be here because I'm in my quadrant. But once the judge moves into my quadrant, so crosses that line, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make sure my horse's head is high enough because my right hand is gonna go underneath, and I'm gonna swap to this side. Then the judge is in that quadrant. There's also a line right here. When the judge crosses in front of my horse's head, I'm gonna come over to this side because then the judge is in that quadrant. So I never wanna be in the same quadrant as the judge. The other thing is when you're squaring your horse, your feet are at a diagonal. So my hands are up like this, my feet are pointed towards this direction. I'm not towards my horse like that. She knows what that means. It means back up. So that's why she was like, what are you redoing? So you're kind of at a diagonal like this. And then when you cross over, there's a lot, people cross over a million different ways, but I like to go left, right, because I'm short. Some people will go left, right, left. I find that a little bit more awkward because I'm short. So I like to take a few more strides. I'm dead. Steps. So let's talk about the pivot. So the pivot, she's going to keep her right hind foot planted the entire time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in pivot position, which is going to be me facing my horse's head like this, square on. I'm going to cluck to her once and I'm gonna step into her. And what I want is her left hind to come forward and around. And like you see, whoa, that was actually a really good example, good horse. Right hind stayed planted. If it moves, penalty. You're probably not gonna place. So that has to stay planted. That was actually a beautiful pivot because she stayed up in her body. Sometimes they'll curve. So if they do that, like if she's a little bit, see if I can get her to do that. I want her to stand up a little bit, so I'm gonna pull up my hand and square her because I kind of want this shoulder out of the way. Oh, that was bad. Whoa. So you can see she moved her right hind, which is not ideal, but that's okay. We haven't done it in a while. Okay, so that's the pivot. Sometimes they'll do a 90 degree, sometimes they'll do 180, 360 and onwards. One of the other maneuvers is a back. To back my horse, I'm gonna be facing my horse like this. I do not want to be in front of my horse. You're not supposed to be in front of your horse. I believe that actually is a penalty, so you need to be here. So my arm's kind of off to the side, it's a little awkward, but I'm gonna lift my hands and I'm gonna cluck, and she's gonna back. Whoa. And that's the back maneuver. They can ask for back in a straight line, they can ask for back in an L, which is a little bit more advanced. So I'll show you what that looks like. You could back into L to the left, you could back an L to the right. Whoa. So I'm gonna go around, whoa. I want her to wait for me. She's anticipating because she's super smart. So I'm gonna ask her to wait. And then to back an L like this, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna straighten out. And then another move you might see is a trot to a walk. So I'll do that. Every horse is different. Walk. But you wanna make sure they break down to an actual walk. You don't want like a little jiggy jog. Whoa. And the other thing could be an extended trot, which is obviously running really fast in the sand, which is the worst thing ever. but that's okay. And then you might do a slow down, whoa, and then a stop. Okay, so those are some of the basics of the showmanship, how to put the chain on, how to hold your lead shank, and some of the basic moves you might see in the showmanship. I hope this helped.